I never believed in fate until the night I collided with a man who looked like he could burn the world down and never lose a second of sleep over it. It was a Tuesday. Ordinary. Exhausting. The kind of evening where all I wanted was to collapse into my apartment with takeout and mindless television. I'd just locked up the gallery where I worked, a boutique art space in Lower Manhattan that catered to wealthy collectors with more money than taste. My boss, Gerald, had spent the entire day hovering over my shoulder, critiquing every placement, every lighting choice, as if I hadn't been doing this job flawlessly for 3 years. The October air bit through my jacket as I walked down the dimly lit street, heels clicking against wet pavement. Rain had fallen earlier, leaving the city slicked and shimmering under streetlights. I was half a block from the subway entrance when I felt that prickle at the back of my neck that tells you someone's watching. I'd felt it before, too many times lately. I quickened my pace, fingers tightening around my purse strap. My phone was buried somewhere in the bottom of my bag, and I cursed myself for not keeping it accessible. The feeling intensified, crawling up my spine like ice water. I risked a glance over my shoulder. Nothing. Just shadows and the occasional passing car. You're being paranoid, Elena. Get a grip. But I wasn't paranoid. The roses had started arriving 2 weeks ago. No note. No name. Just arrangements that grew larger and more elaborate with each delivery. 50 blood-red roses had appeared at the gallery that morning, arranged in a crystal vase that probably cost more than my rent. Gerald had been delighted, assuming they were from a wealthy admirer interested in purchasing art. I knew better. I rounded the corner toward the subway, and that's when I saw him, a figure detaching itself from the recessed doorway of a closed shop. Tall. Lean. Moving with deliberate purpose toward me. My heart kicked into my throat. I'd broken to a run. Stupid decision. My heel caught on uneven pavement, and I went sprawling forward, palms scraping concrete as I tried to catch myself. Pain shot through my wrists. My purse went flying, contents scattering across the sidewalk. Footsteps approached, fast. I scrambled to gather my things, adrenaline making my hands shake. A shadow fell over me, and I looked up, preparing to scream, and froze. The man standing above me wasn't the figure I'd seen following me. This man was something else entirely, something that made my brain short-circuit and my breath catch, for reasons that had nothing to do with fear. He was devastatingly, dangerously beautiful. Dark hair swept back from a face carved from granite and shadow-sharp jaw, high cheekbones, lips that looked cruel even in repose. But it was his eyes that paralyzed me, deep, almost black, and so intensely focused on me that I felt stripped bare under his gaze. He wore a suit that probably cost more than everything I owned, tailored perfectly to broad shoulders and a lean, powerful frame. Power radiated from him like heat from asphalt in summer. "You're hurt." His voice was low, accented faintly Italian. I thought, and it moved through me like dark honey. "I'm fine." I tried to stand, wincing when my scraped palm protested. I wasn't fine. My heart was hammering, my knees were shaking, and I was very aware that I was alone on a dark street with a stranger who looked like he'd stepped out of a fantasy I shouldn't be having. He crouched down a fluid, predatory movement and began gathering my scattered belongings. His hands were elegant, I noticed stupidly. Long fingers, immaculate despite handling my lipstick and crumpled receipts. When he picked up my phone, his eyes flickered to the screen where 17 missed calls from an unknown number glowed in accusation. Something changed in his expression. A hardening, a coldness that made the temperature drop 10 degrees. Someone's been persistent? He stood, offering me his hand. I stared at it like it might bite. I can manage. I don't doubt it. The corner of his mouth lifted, not quite a smile, more like acknowledgement of something privately amusing. But humor me. Against every instinct of self-preservation I possessed, I placed my hand in his. The contact sent electricity racing up my arm. His palm was warm, calloused in unexpected places, and his grip was firm as he pulled me effortlessly to my feet. He didn't let go immediately, his thumb brushing across my scraped palm with surprising gentleness. "You need to be more careful," he said softly. "This neighborhood isn't safe after dark. I know these streets." I pulled my hand back, immediately missing the warmth. I've lived here for 5 years. That doesn't make them safer. His gaze moved past me, scanning the street with the systematic precision of someone trained to assess threats. Where's your car? I don't have one. I take the subway. His jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. Not tonight. Excuse me? Before I could protest, a sleek black SUV pulled up to the curb as if summoned by telepathy. The driver emerged, a mountain of a man in the matching black suit, and opened the back door without a word. The beautiful stranger gestured toward the vehicle. Get in. I almost laughed. I'm not getting in a car with a complete stranger. That's literally the first rule of staying alive in New York. Then allow me to introduce myself. He stepped closer, and I had to tilt my head back to maintain eye contact. He was tall, 6'2" or 6'3", and standing this close I could smell him. Something expensive and woodsy, with an undertone of smoke. Dominic Marchetti, and you're Elena Russo, 27, art curator at Bellamy Gallery, resident of a 4th floor walk-up 6 blocks from here. You take your coffee black, hate your landlord, and someone's been sending you roses you don't want. Ice flooded my veins. How do you? I make it my business to know things. His voice dropped lower, intimate and threatening all at once, especially when those things concern situations that require my intervention. I don't need intervention. I don't need anything from you. But my voice shook, betraying me. Those roses this morning. He leaned in, close enough that I could see flecks of gold in his dark eyes. Where are they now? At the gallery. Why does it? They're gone. Return to the sender with a message he'll understand. Dominic's expression went arctic. You won't receive any more. My mouth went dry. What did you do? What needed to be done? He studied me with unnerving intensity, as if cataloging every detail. My fear, my confusion, the traitorous flutter of attraction I couldn't suppress. Your stalker made a mistake, Elena. He chose to fixate on someone under my protection. I'm not under anyone's protection. I don't even know you. You do now. He nodded toward the SUV again. Get in. I'll explain on the way. On the way where? Somewhere safe? Somewhere we can talk. His hand lifted, hovering near my elbow without quite touching. Please. That last word, soft, almost vulnerable, broke through my defenses more effectively than any command could have. I should have run. Should have screamed. Should have done literally anything except what I did. I got in the car. Dominic slid in beside me, and the door closed with the solid thunk of expensive engineering. The interior smelled like leather and danger. As we pulled away from the curb, I caught a glimpse of the figure I'd seen earlier, the one who'd been following me. He stood frozen beneath the streetlight, staring after us with an expression I couldn't read. Who was that? I whispered. Dominic didn't even glance back. Someone who won't bother you again. The certainty in his voice should have been comforting. Instead, it sent a chill racing down my spine. What exactly do you do, Dominic Marchetti? He turned to look at me, and in the dim interior light, his beautiful face was all sharp angles and shadows. When he smiled, it wasn't reassuring. I solve problems, Elena, permanently. The SUV moved through Manhattan like a shark through dark water, smooth, purposeful, unstoppable. I sat rigid against the leather seat, hyper-aware of Dominic beside me. He'd put deliberate space between us, but I could still feel the heat radiating from his body, still smell that intoxicating combination of expensive cologne and something darker, more primal. My rational mind screamed at me to demand he let me out. My instincts, the ones that had kept me alive through a childhood in foster care and a decade of navigating New York alone, told me something different. This man was dangerous, but he wasn't dangerous to me. Where are we going? I tried to keep my voice steady. My place. We need privacy for this conversation. He pulled out his phone, fingers moving across the screen with practiced efficiency. And you need those hands treated properly. I looked down at my scraped palms, noticing for the first time the blood welling in the abraded skin. Funny how adrenaline made you forget pain. I have bandages at home. I have a doctor. He didn't look up from his phone. And better security? Security from what? You said you handled the situation. I handled Marcus DeLuca. Now he did look at me, and something in his expression made my stomach tighten. Your stalker, low-level enforcer for the Vitali family, delusions of grandeur, recently dishonorably discharged from their operations for erratic behavior. The roses were just the beginning, Elena. He had plans for you. The casual way he delivered that information, like he was discussing the weather, sent ice through my veins. How do you know all this? I told you. It's my business to know things. He pocketed his phone. The Vitali family operates in my territory. When one of their discarded dogs starts stalking a woman 6 blocks from my club, I take notice. Your territory. Your club. Pieces clicked into place with sickening clarity. The expensive suit, the driver who appeared on command, the way he spoke about handling problems permanently. You're with the Mafia. It wasn't a question. I am the Mafia. He said it without arrogance, just stating fact. At least the part of it that matters in this city. The Marchetti family controls everything from the financial district to Chelsea. That includes your little neighborhood, your gallery, and by extension, you. I should have been terrified. Should have demanded he let me out immediately. Instead, I felt a strange, reckless curiosity unfurling in my chest. And you just happened to be there tonight, when Marcus was following me. A slight smile touched his lips, the first genuine expression I'd seen from him. I've been watching you for 3 days, Elena, since the first roses arrived at your workplace. My breath caught. You've been watching me? Protecting you. His voice went soft, almost gentle. There's a difference. Is there? Anger sparked through my fear. Sounds like stalking to me. If it were stalking, you wouldn't have known I was there. He leaned forward slightly, and I became acutely aware of how his presence seemed to fill the entire space. I made sure you saw me tonight. Made sure Marcus saw me. I wanted him to know exactly what would happen if he came near you again. And what will happen? His eyes went cold. He'll disappear, permanently. The matter-of-fact way he said it should have horrified me. Instead, a dark, traitorous part of me whispered, good. I'd spent weeks feeling watched, violated, increasingly afraid in my own neighborhood. The police had been useless, no crime, no evidence, just roses and a feeling. But this man, this beautiful, terrifying stranger, had solved my problem in one night. The SUV turned into an underground parking garage, private, judging by the armed guard who waved us through. We descended several levels into what looked like a fortress. Reinforced concrete, security cameras everywhere, expensive cars gleaming under fluorescent lights. Welcome to the inferno, Dominic said as the vehicle stopped. My club, my home, my kingdom. The driver opened my door and I stepped out into a space that smelled like money and motor oil. Dominic emerged beside me, his hand finding the small of my back, possessive, protective, burning through the thin fabric of my shirt. This way. He guided me toward a private elevator, unmarked and clearly not for public use. As we stepped inside, he pressed his thumb to a biometric scanner. The doors closed silently, and we began ascending. You live above a nightclub? I asked, grasping for anything resembling normal conversation. I own the entire building. The club occupies the first 3 floors. My residence is the top 2. His gaze traveled over me slowly, assessing. You're handling this well. Am I? My laugh sounded slightly hysterical even to my own ears, because I feel like I'm losing my mind. This morning, I was worried about exhibit lighting. Now I'm in an elevator with a mafia boss who's been stalking me. Protecting me. And I have no idea what's real anymore. The elevator slowed, stopped. The doors opened onto a private foyer that looked like it belonged in an Italian villa, marble floors. Renaissance art on the walls. A crystal chandelier that probably cost more than I'd earn in a lifetime. This is real. Dominic stepped closer, his hand lifting to cut my jaw with surprising gentleness. His thumb traced my cheekbone and I stopped breathing. You're real, and you're safe here. Safe with a criminal? safe with a man who eliminates threats. His eyes searched mine, looking for something I didn't understand. I won't let anyone hurt you, Elena. Not Marcus. Not anyone. Why? The word came out barely above a whisper. Why do you care what happens to me? Something flickered in his expression, vulnerability, quickly masked, because the first time I saw you, 3 months ago in that gallery, you were standing in front of a Caravaggio discussing chiaroscuro with a collector who had no idea what he was looking at. You were brilliant and passionate and completely unaware that every man in that room wanted you. His voice dropped lower, intimate and dark, and I decided then that you were mine to protect. My heart hammered against my ribs. That's insane. Yes, he smiled. And it was beautiful and terrifying. It is. Before I could respond, his phone buzzed. He glanced at it and his expression went glacial. Problem? I managed. Marcus had friends, stupider friends who don't understand messages. He looked at me and I saw calculation in his eyes. You'll stay here tonight. Tomorrow we'll discuss long-term arrangements. Long-term, I'm not staying here long-term. Elena. He stepped closer, crowding me against the elevator wall without touching me. You don't understand what you've become part of by accepting my protection. Marcus was obsessed with you. Now his associates know you're under my protection. That makes you valuable, a weakness they'll try to exploit. Cold dread settled in my stomach. So I'm a prisoner? You are a guest, one who can leave any time she wants. His hand braced against the wall beside my head. But if you leave, I can't guarantee your safety. And I've discovered I care very much about your safety. The air between us crackled with tension, fear, attraction, something dangerous and magnetic I couldn't name. What do you want from me? I whispered. His gaze dropped to my lips, then back to my eyes. Everything. But tonight, I'll settle for making sure you're alive to see tomorrow. He pushed off the wall and gestured toward the apartment. Come, let me show you where you'll sleep. I followed him on shaking legs into the wolf's den, knowing with absolute certainty that my life had just changed forever. And the most terrifying part? I wasn't sure I wanted it to change back. Dominic's apartment was a study in contradictions, luxury and austerity, beauty and threat. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a glittering panorama of Manhattan at night. The furniture was sleek and expensive, but sparse, as if he'd never quite committed to making this space a home. Art covered the walls, not the modern pieces wealthy people bought for status, but Renaissance masters and Baroque paintings that suggested genuine knowledge and appreciation. You collect. I stopped in front of a small Titian, authentic, unless I was very much mistaken. These aren't reproductions. No. He appeared beside me with 2 glasses of amber liquid. I find reproductions insulting. If you're going to surround yourself with beauty, it should be real. I accepted the glass, our fingers brushing. That electric current sparked again. Is that why you collect art? The beauty? I collect art because it's one of the few things in my world that doesn't lie. He took a sip, watching me over the rim. A painting is what it is. No hidden agendas. No betrayal. There was something raw in his voice. A glimpse beneath the armor. I found myself wanting to see more. People have hurt you. It wasn't a question. His smile was sharp. People have tried. Most don't succeed twice. He nodded toward a hallway. Come, let's tend to your hands, then I'll show you the guest room. I followed him through the apartment, hyper-aware of his presence behind me. He guided me into a bathroom that looked like it belonged in a luxury spa, marble everywhere. Rainfall shower, a bathtub that could fit 3 people. Sit. He indicated the marble countertop. I can take care of myself. I'm aware. He retrieved a first aid kit from beneath the sink, professional grade, I noticed. The kit of someone who dealt with injuries regularly. Humor me. I hoisted myself onto the counter, suddenly very conscious of how short my skirt had ridden up. Dominic noticed his gaze flickered down, then away, jaw tightening, but he said nothing. He stepped between my knees, careful not to touch more than necessary, and took my left hand in his. His fingers were gentle as they turned my palm upward, examining the scrapes. In the bright bathroom light, I could see him clearly, the faint scar along his jawline, the slight crook in his nose suggesting it had been broken at least once, the exhaustion lurking in his eyes despite the late hour being early for someone who owned a nightclub. "This might sting," he warned, dabbing antiseptic onto the wounds. It did. I hissed between my teeth but didn't pull away. He worked with practiced efficiency, cleaning both palms before applying antibacterial ointment and wrapping them in gauze. "You've done this before," I observed. "Too many times." His hands lingered on mine after the bandaging was complete. "Violence is a language in my world, Elena, one I'm fluent in. Does it bother you, the violence?" He looked up, surprise flickering across his features. "Most people don't ask me that. Most people probably don't get the chance. A genuine smile, small but real. No, they don't." He released my hands but didn't step back. It bothered me once, when I was young and still believed in fairness. But this life doesn't reward mercy. It rewards strength. Everyone's strong in different ways. Are they? He tilted his head, studying me with that unnerving intensity. "What's your strength, Elena Rousseau?" "Survival," I answered without thinking. "I survived 16 different foster homes before I aged out of the system. Survived putting myself through college, working 3 jobs. Survived building a life in this city that chews people up and spits them out. I'm still here. That's my strength." Something shifted in his expression, recognition perhaps. Understanding. "We're not so different, you and I. We're very different." But my voice lacked conviction. "Are we?" He leaned closer, his hand coming up to trace the curve of my jaw. "We both know what it's like to be alone. To trust only ourselves. To build walls so high no one can climb them." My breath caught. "And what makes you think you can climb mine?" "I don't think I can." His thumb brushed my lower lip, sending heat spiraling through my core. "I think you'll let me in. Eventually." Arrogant. Honest. His eyes dropped to my mouth, and I could feel the tension crackling between us like electricity before a storm. "You feel it too, this thing between us. Chemistry isn't trust." "No, but it's a start." He pulled back abruptly, and I almost whimpered at the loss of his warmth. "You should rest. It's been a long night." He led me down another hallway to a guest room that was bigger than my entire apartment. A king-size bed dominated the space, covered in silk sheets that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Another wall of windows showcased the glittering city. "There are clothes in the closet. They should fit." At my questioning look, he added, "I had my assistant purchase them this afternoon. Before you even knew if I'd come here?" I'm used to people doing what I tell them. The arrogance was back, but softer now, almost teasing, and I found it's better to be prepared. Control freak. Absolutely. He moved toward the door, then paused. "Elena, the door doesn't lock from the outside. You're not a prisoner. But if you leave this apartment tonight, my men will follow you for your protection." "Your men?" "I have security throughout the building. They'll keep you safe, but they'll also report your movements to me." His expression was unapologetic. "I don't take chances with things I value." Before I could dissect that loaded statement, he was gone, the door clicking shut behind him. I stood alone in the luxurious room, my mind spinning. Every rational instinct screamed that I should leave, should run as far and fast as possible from Dominic Marchetti and his dangerous world. But rationality had abandoned me the moment his hand touched mine. I walked to the window, looking out over the city I'd fought so hard to make my own. Somewhere out there, Marcus DeLuca was receiving Dominic's message. Somewhere out there, threats I didn't understand were gathering. And here, in a mafia boss's apartment, wrapped in his protection and his promises, I felt safer than I'd felt in weeks. I was in so much trouble. My phone buzzed. I'd forgotten I still had it. A text from an unknown number. "Sleep well, Elena. Tomorrow we discuss the terms of your protection, and perhaps, if you're brave enough, we discuss why you're still here instead of running, D." I stared at the message, my heart hammering. He was right. I should have run. But I hadn't. And that terrified me more than anything else. I woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows and the scent of expensive coffee. For a disoriented moment, I couldn't remember where I was. Then it all came flooding back. Marcus, Dominic, the SUV, the decision that had seemed so reckless and now felt absolutely insane in the harsh light of day. I'd slept in a mafia boss's apartment, willingly. The clothes in the closet fit perfectly, as promised: designer jeans, a soft cashmere sweater in dove gray, even underwear in exactly my size. The precision was unsettling. How long had Dominic been watching me to know these details? I found him in the kitchen, which was all stainless steel and granite, looking unfairly perfect in black slacks and a white shirt rolled to his elbows. He was cooking eggs and what smelled like pancetta. "You cook?" I couldn't keep the surprise from my voice. He glanced up, and something flickered in his eyes when he saw me. Appreciation. Possession. My mother insisted all her sons learn. She said a man who can't feed himself is a man who can be controlled. He plated the eggs with professional efficiency. "Coffee's fresh. How do you take it?" "Black. You already know that." A slight smile, testing to see if you'd lie. I poured myself coffee from the French press, wrapping my hands around the mug for something to do with them. "Should I be insulted that you've been investigating me? You should be grateful." He set the plate in front of me, perfectly cooked eggs, crispy pancetta, roasted tomatoes. "Sit. Eat. Then we'll talk." The food was delicious, which annoyed me. I didn't want to find things to like about Dominic Marchetti. It was easier when he was just a dangerous stranger, but watching him move efficiently around the kitchen, the domestic normalcy of sharing breakfast made him seem almost human. "Where is Marcus now?" I asked between bites. Dominic's expression went cold. "Being questioned by my people. He'll tell us who else knew about his fixation on you. Then he'll be dealt with." "Dealt with? Yes. You mean killed?" He met my gaze steadily. "I mean, he won't threaten anyone again. Ever." I should have been horrified, should have felt guilt or moral outrage. Instead, I felt a dark satisfaction that made me question who I really was. "Does that make me a monster?" I whispered. "That I'm not upset about it? It makes you a survivor." He leaned against the counter, coffee in hand. "You understand that some threats can't be reasoned with, only eliminated. Is that how you see the world? Threats and assets? It's how I've stayed alive this long." He took a sip. "My father was killed when I was 16, ambushed by the Castellano family during a supposed peace negotiation. They shot him 11 times and left him in the street like garbage." My breath caught. "Dominic, I found him. I was the one who called my mother, who held my younger brothers while they cried." His voice was emotionless, but his knuckles were white around the mug. "I learned that day that mercy is weakness. That trust gets you killed. So yes, I see threats and assets. It's kept my family alive." I set down my fork, my appetite gone. "I'm sorry for what happened to your father." "Don't be. It made me what I am." He pushed off the counter, moving to the window. "Strong enough to protect what's mine. I'm not yours." "Aren't you?" He turned, and the intensity in his gaze pinned me to my chair. "You're here. You slept under my roof. You're wearing clothes I bought you. And when I told you I'd kill the man stalking you, you didn't flinch. What does that make you, Elena?" I stood on shaking legs. "It makes me someone who made a choice last night because I was scared, not someone who belongs to you." "Scared?" He moved toward me with that predatory grace. "Are you scared now?" I should have said yes, should have backed away. Instead, I held my ground as he approached, even as my heart hammered against my ribs. "Yes," I admitted, "but not of you." He stopped inches away. "Then what? Of this?" I gestured between us. "Whatever this is." "Of the fact that I'm not running. That part of me wants to stay." His hand came up slowly, giving me time to move away. I didn't. He cupped my face, thumb tracing my cheekbone with devastating gentleness. Then stay, he murmured. Stay and let me keep you safe. For how long? Until Marcus's associates lose interest? Until the next threat? Until I stop breathing. The words were a vow, absolute and terrifying. I don't do anything halfway, Elena. If you accept my protection, it's permanent. You become part of my world. I don't want to be part of this world. I've spent my whole life trying to build something normal, something safe. Safe is an illusion. His other hand found my waist, pulling me closer. You were never safe. You just didn't know the threats existed. Now you do. And you have a choice. Face them alone or face them with me. I should have chosen alone, should have walked away from this beautiful, dangerous man and his promises. But I'd been alone my entire life, and standing in his arms, feeling his warmth and strength surrounding me, I couldn't remember why I'd wanted that. If I stay, my voice was barely a whisper. What does that mean? What do you want from me? His eyes darkened. Everything. Your trust, your secrets, your heart. His thumb brushed my lower lip. Eventually, your body. But that's your choice. I don't force, Elena. I make offers people can't refuse because they don't want to. Arrogant. Confident. He leaned closer, his breath ghosting across my lips. Tell me you don't feel this. Tell me you don't lie awake wondering what it would be like. Tell me, and I'll let you walk away. I couldn't. Because I did feel it, had felt it from the moment his hand touched mine on that dark street. I don't trust you, I said instead. I know. His smile was dark, knowing, but you will. His phone buzzed, shattering the moment. He pulled back with obvious reluctance, checking the screen. His expression went glacial. What's wrong? Marcus had a partner, someone I didn't know about. He looked at me and I saw genuine concern in his eyes. Someone who's been in your apartment. The world tilted. What? My men found evidence. Cameras. Listening devices. His jaw clenched. He's been watching you for months, Elena. And now he knows you're here. The violation hit me like a physical blow. Cameras. Listening devices. Someone had been in my home, my sanctuary, watching me, cataloging my private moments. I'm going to be sick. I turned away from Dominic, hands gripping the counter. His hand settled on my back, warm and steady. Breathe. Just breathe. How long? My voice cracked. How long was he watching me? We're still analyzing. At least 2 months based on the equipment. His hand moved in slow circles between my shoulder blades. Elena, look at me. I couldn't. Tears burned behind my eyes, fury, shame, horror, all twisted together. Look at me. Command softened with concern. I turned, and whatever he saw in my face made his expression go murderous. I'm going to find him, he said quietly. Deadly. And I'm going to make him regret every second he violated you. That's a promise. Promise from a criminal. How reassuring. Promises from the only man standing between you and a predator who knows where you sleep. His hands framed my face, forcing me to meet his eyes. I know you hate this. Hate needing protection. Hate that your privacy was destroyed. But you need to understand something. This man is dangerous. Professional. Marcus was a lovesick fool. This partner is something else. Who is he? We don't know yet, but we will. His thumb caught a tear I hadn't realized had fallen. You can't go back to your apartment, not until we neutralize this threat. So I'm just supposed to hide here? Live in your fortress while you hunt down some ghost? You're supposed to let me keep you alive. Steel entered his voice. This isn't a negotiation, Elena. You're in danger. Real, immediate danger from someone who's been obsessed with you for months. Someone who now knows you're under my protection and might escalate. Escalate how? His hesitation told me everything I needed to know. He'll try to take me. Not if I kill him first. No emotion, just fact. I pulled away from his touch, needing space to think. This is insane. 3 days ago, my biggest problem was a demanding boss. Now I'm hiding from a stalker's mysterious partner while a mafia boss promises to commit murder on my behalf. Welcome to my world. No apology in his voice. It's not pretty, it's not safe, but to real. And right now, it's the only thing keeping you breathing. You keep saying that, but maybe I was fine before you inserted yourself into my life. Something dangerous flashed in his eyes. You think you were fine? You think Marcus and his partner would have just sent roses forever? He stalked toward me, and I backed up instinctively until I hit the counter. They had a plan, Elena. We found it on Marcus's phone. 3 more days. That's how long they were going to wait before they took you. The air left my lungs. Took me where? Somewhere no one would find you, somewhere they could keep you. His hands braced on either side of me, caging me in. They had detailed fantasies about what they'd do to you, how they'd break you. Make you grateful for any scrap of kindness. Nausea rose in my throat. So yes, Dominic continued, voice harsh, I inserted myself into your life. I put surveillance on you. I investigated your stalker. And I'm very glad I did, because in 3 days you would have disappeared and no one would have known where to look. How did you even know? I whispered. Why were you watching me? His expression shifted, the anger bleeding into something more complicated. I told you, I saw you 3 months ago at the gallery, but that's not the whole truth. Then tell me the whole truth. He pushed away from the counter, running a hand through his dark hair. For the first time since I'd met him, he looked uncertain. Your last name is Russo, he finally said. Your father was Antonio Russo. The name hit me like a slap. I never knew my father. He abandoned my mother before I was born. He didn't abandon her. He was killed. Dominic turned to face me. By my uncle. In a territory dispute 27 years ago. The kitchen tilted. What? Antonio Russo worked for a rival family. He was executed as a message. Your mother fled to avoid retaliation, changed her name, put you in foster care to keep you safe from the life. His eyes held mine. When I learned who you were, I started watching, protecting you from a distance, making sure the sins of our fathers didn't destroy you. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. You've known this whole time? Known about my father and you didn't tell me? What good would it do? He's been dead for decades, but his blood runs in your veins. And in my world, bloodlines matter. When I learned someone was targeting you, I had to know if it was connected to your father. And is it? No. Marcus and his partner fixated on you because they saw you and wanted you. Nothing more complicated than that. He moved closer, cautious now. But it made me realize you had no protection, no family to watch your back, so I decided to be that protection. Out of guilt? At first, his honesty was brutal. But then I saw you. Really saw you. Your strength, your defiance, the way you've built a life from nothing, and it stopped being about guilt. What is it about now? He reached out, tucking a strand of hair behind my ear, something much more dangerous. The air between us crackled with tension, anger, attraction, a dozen emotions I couldn't name. I should have been furious, should have demanded he take me home immediately. Instead, I asked, "Do you have a picture of him, my father?" Dominic's expression softened. "Yes, I'll show you. But Alina, knowing about your father doesn't change anything. You're still in danger. You still need my protection. Protection from threats that only exist because of your world, your violence. My violence is the only thing standing between you and something much worse." He stepped closer, his intensity overwhelming. "I won't apologize for who I am, for what I do, but I will keep you safe, whether you forgive me or hate me. I don't know what I feel about you. Liar." His hand cupped my jaw. "You feel exactly what I feel. You just don't want to admit it." Before I could respond, his phone rang. He answered with a curt, "What?" I watched his expression go from deadly calm to incandescent fury in seconds. "When? Oh, how many? Lock down the building, no one in or out." He ended the call, his eyes meeting mine with barely controlled violence. We have a problem. Marcus's partner? Worse. The Castellano family knows you're here, and they're very interested in meeting my father's killer's daughter. The Castellanos? My voice came out steadier than I felt. The family that killed your father? The same. Dominic was already moving, pulling his phone out again, firing off rapid texts. They've had spies watching my building. They know you're here, know about your connection to Antonio Russo. But you said my father's death wasn't connected. It wasn't. Until now. He looked at me, and I saw calculation behind the fury. The Castellanos are using this as an opportunity. They know you matter to me. That makes you leverage. I don't matter to you. We met 2 days ago. And yet I've locked down my entire organization to keep you safe. He crossed to a panel hidden in the wall, pressing his palm to it. The panel slid open, revealing an arsenal that made my heart stop. Guns of every variety, knives, body armor. Believe what you want, Elena. My actions speak clearly. He selected a handgun with practiced ease, checking the chamber before tucking it into a holster at his back. You're not actually planning to shoot people. I'm planning to do whatever's necessary to keep you alive. He pulled out a smaller gun, approaching me with it. Have you ever fired a weapon? No. Absolutely not. I backed away. Elena. He kept coming, patient but implacable. If they get past my men, past me, you need to be able to defend yourself. I won't shoot someone. Even to save your own life? I had no answer for that. He used my silence to press the gun into my hands. It was smaller than his, lighter, but the weight still felt wrong. Safety here. Point. Aim for center mass. Squeeze the trigger. Don't pull, squeeze. His hands covered mine, guiding them. I pray you never need it, but I won't leave you defenseless. The gun felt like a promise and a curse. How did I get here? 2 days ago I was worried about gallery lighting. 2 days ago you were already being watched by predators. You just didn't know it. He released my hands. I didn't create this danger, Elena. I just made you aware of it, and made me a target for your enemies. That was inevitable the moment you caught my attention. No apology. In my world, what I value becomes valuable to others, either as alliance or weapon. So this is my life now? Hiding? Carrying guns? Waiting for the next threat? No. He moved to the windows, looking out over his city. This is temporary. Once the Castellanos understand the cost of touching you, they'll back down. And once we find Marcus's partner, you'll be safe. You keep saying that, but how can I ever be safe in your world? Because I'll make it so. He turned, backlit by morning sun, looking every inch the dangerous king he claimed to be. I have the resources, the reach, the reputation. When I declare someone under my absolute protection, that means something. It means attacking you is declaring war on me. And how many people are willing to declare that war? His smile was sharp, far fewer than are willing to make peace. Before I could respond, his phone buzzed with a message that made his jaw clench. They're asking for a meeting. Neutral ground. With me? With me. About you. He typed a response. They want to negotiate. Negotiate what? They want me to hand you over for questioning about your father's operations. They claim Antonio had information about Marchetti family businesses that was never recovered. They think you might know something. I was an infant when he died. I know nothing. I'm aware. So are they. This is a power play. He pocketed his phone. They're testing me, seeing if I'll trade you for peace. My heart stopped. And will you? The look he gave me was answer enough, insulted, furious, almost hurt. You're asking if I'd hand you over to men who torture you for information you don't have before killing you? I'm asking if your family's peace is worth more than my life. He closed the distance, between us in 3 strides, his hands gripping my shoulders almost painfully. Listen to me very carefully. There is no amount of peace, no treaty, no alliance worth your life. I would burn this entire city to ashes before I let them touch you. Do you understand? The intensity in his voice, in his eyes, stole my breath. Why? Why does it matter so much? Because. He stopped, jaw working. Whatever he'd been about to say, he swallowed it. Because you're under my protection. That's sacred. And because I've spent my entire adult life building power so I never have to make choices like that. So I can protect what's mine. There it is again. What's mine? Yes, no apology. You think I don't see how you look at me? How you respond when I touch you? His hand slid from my shoulder to cup my neck, thumb resting against my racing pulse. You feel this connection as much as I do. You're just too stubborn to admit it. Connection isn't ownership? No, it's something far more binding. His thumb stroked slowly, deliberately. Ownership can be broken. What's building between us, this is inevitable. I should have pulled away, should have denied it. But standing in his arms, feeling his heat and strength and absolute certainty, I couldn't lie. I'm terrified, I whispered. Of me? Of myself? Of what I'm willing to accept from you? My hands fisted in his shirt. You're a killer, Dominic. You've probably done things that would make me sick. But when you touch me, when you promise to keep me safe, I believe you. I want to believe you. What does that make me? Human. He pressed his forehead to mine. Survival isn't pretty, Elena. It's messy and complicated and sometimes means accepting protection from monsters. Are you a monster? To most people? Yes. To you? His lips brushed my temple. I'm trying very hard not to be. The moment shattered as his phone rang, harsh, insistent sound. He answered immediately, his expression going cold. When? How many casualties? Contain it. I'm on my way. He ended the call, already moving toward the armory. There's been an incident at one of my warehouses. Castellano's men hit it 20 minutes ago. Is it bad? 3 of my people are dead, 5 injured. He pulled on a jacket, the gun at his back now joined by a knife strapped to his ankle. This is their answer. They're forcing my hand. Don't go. The words escaped before I could stop them. If this is a trap, it's absolutely a trap. He crossed to me one last time, his hand framing my face. But I can't let this aggression go unanswered. My people need to see me respond. And I need to send a message about what happens when someone comes for what's mine. He kissed my forehead, brief, gentle, devastating. Then he was gone, leaving me alone with a gun in my hand and fear in my heart. The fear wasn't just for myself anymore. It was for the dangerous, beautiful man who'd somehow become essential to me in the span of 2 days, and that terrified me most of all. The hours after Dominic left were the longest of my life. I paced the apartment like a caged animal, the gun he'd given me sitting on the counter like an accusation. Through the windows, the city continued its indifferent rhythm, people going to work, living their normal lives, unaware of the violence simmering beneath the surface. A violence I was now part of. Around noon, a woman appeared, late 40s, elegant in a tailored suit, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. She introduced herself as Maria, Dominic's head of security. Mr. Marchetti asked me to check on you, she said in accented English, and to bring you this. She held out a phone, new, expensive, secure line. His number is programmed in. I took it with shaking hands. Have you heard from him? He's handling the situation. Her expression gave nothing away. You should eat. I brought lunch. The food was Italian pasta, fresh bread, salad, but I could barely taste it. Maria sat across from me, somehow both companionable and watchful. How long have you worked for him? I asked, grasping for distraction. 15 years. Since he was barely more than a boy trying to fill his father's shoes. Fondness warmed her voice. He's grown into a formidable man, a dangerous man. Yes, but not to those under his protection. She studied me over her wine glass. He's never brought anyone here before, to his private space. My heart skipped. What do you mean? Women, they come and go. Transactions mostly. Business. She waved a dismissive hand. But this apartment? This is his sanctuary. He doesn't share it, until you. It's not like that. He's just protecting me because of my father. Maria's smile was knowing. Keep telling yourself that, Kara, but I've seen how he looks at you. and I've watched him burn down half the city today for daring to threaten you." "What?" I set down my fork. "What do you mean, burn down?" "The warehouse attack. It was a message, so Dominic sent one back." She leaned forward. 3 Castellano operations hit simultaneously. Their gambling house in Brooklyn, their smuggling dock in Red Hook, their money laundering front in Queens. All destroyed. Millions in damages. Horror and something darker satisfaction warred in my chest. People died, some, but Dominic showed restraint. He evacuated civilians first, gave warnings. The deaths were men who chose to stay and fight. She refilled her wine. "In our world, that's mercy." "Mercy," I repeated hollowly. "This is insane. This is reality. Your reality now." Maria's expression softened. "I understand this is difficult. You didn't choose this life. But you chose to accept Dominic's protection. That choice has consequences. I didn't know accepting help meant starting a war. You accepted help from a man powerful enough to wage war. What did you think would happen?" She wasn't unkind, just honest. "The Castellanos have been looking for an excuse to test Dominic for years. You're not the cause of this war, Kara. You're the excuse." The secure phone buzzed. A text from Dominic, still alive, wrapping up. "Be home by dinner. Miss having you argue with me." Relief flooded through me so intensely I nearly dropped the phone. "See?" Maria smiled. "He's fine. He's always fine. That man is too stubborn to die." "Don't say that. Don't tempt fate. You care for him." It wasn't a question. I barely know him. And yet you're white-knuckling that phone like a lifeline. She stood, collecting the dishes. "I'll leave you to rest." "But Kara? Some advice from someone who's loved a dangerous man? The fear never goes away. You just learn to live with it." After she left, I finally allowed myself to breathe. Dominic was alive, safe, coming back to me. When had I started thinking of it that way? I spent the afternoon exploring the apartment, more thoroughly partly curiosity, partly distraction. His bedroom was spare, almost military in its precision. But his study was different. Books everywhere, art on every wall, a chess set mid-game on the desk as if he played against himself. On one shelf, I found photographs. A beautiful woman who had to be his mother, smiling with 4 boys, Dominic the eldest, protective hand on the youngest's shoulder. His father, handsome and stern, in what was clearly a formal family portrait. And others, weddings, christenings, moments of normalcy in a life that seemed anything but. Looking for my secrets? I spun. Dominic stood in the doorway, suit jacket gone, shirt sleeves rolled up, looking exhausted but whole, alive. "You're back." I wanted to run to him, wanted to check him for injuries, demand he never leave again. Instead, I stood frozen by the bookshelf. "Maria said you hit 3 locations." "I did." He moved into the room, pouring himself 2 fingers of scotch from a crystal decanter. "I sent a message. Attack what's mine, and I'll dismantle everything you've built. Your men, Maria, said some died. 3 of the Castellano soldiers, none of mine, this time." He took a long drink. "I was careful, but they'll retaliate again. This is how wars begin." "And how do they end? One side surrenders or is destroyed." His eyes found mine across the room. "I won't let it be mine. So you'll destroy theirs, kill more people, burn more buildings." I heard the accusation in my voice. "Where does it stop, Dominic?" "When you're safe, when every potential threat understands that touching you means death." He set down his glass with barely controlled force. "What do you want me to say, Elena? That I regret it? That I'd choose peace over your life? I want you to see that this is insane, that people are dying because of me. People are dying because they made bad choices." He crossed to me in 3 strides, his hands gripping my shoulders. "You didn't start this. You didn't ask for Marcus to fixate on you. You didn't ask for the Castellanos to see opportunity in your existence. You're a victim, Elena. Stop blaming yourself for the violence of others." "But if I left, if I just disappeared, They'd hunt you down and use you as leverage anyway. At least here you have me between you and them. His hands gentled on my shoulders. I know this is overwhelming. I know you hate this world and everything it represents, but you're in it now, and I'm the best chance you have of surviving it. I hate that you're right. The admission felt like defeat. I hate that I need you. I know. His thumb traced my cheekbone, but you don't have to hate that you want me. The air shifted, charged with electricity. Dominic, I could have died today. His voice went rough. I've been in dozens of firefights, been shot at, stabbed, poisoned twice. But today, for the first time, I was afraid. Not of dying, of never seeing you again. My breath caught. Don't what? Tell you the truth? He leaned closer, his forehead resting against mine. I'm trying to give you space, trying not to push. But I've wanted you since the moment I saw you, and having you here, in my home, under my protection, it's taking every ounce of control I have not. He cut himself off, jaw clenching. Not to what? My voice was barely a whisper. Not to claim you, mark you, make you mine in every way that matters. His eyes were molten. Tell me you don't want that. Tell me, and I'll back away. I couldn't, because God help me, I did want it. Wanted him. This dangerous, beautiful man who'd turned my life upside down. Instead of answering, I closed the distance between us and kissed him. The moment our lips met, the world ignited. Dominic made a sound low in his throat, surprise, triumph. Need in his hands came up to frame my face with devastating gentleness. The kiss started soft, almost tentative, as if he couldn't quite believe I'd initiated it. Then control shattered. His mouth opened over mine, demanding and possessive, and I met him with equal hunger. All the fear, the tension, the desperate attraction that had been building between us exploded in that kiss. His hand slid into my hair, angling my head to deepen the kiss, and I pressed closer, needing to feel every hard plane of his body against mine. Elena. My name was a prayer and a curse on his lips. If we do this, if we cross this line, stop talking. I pulled him back down and he went willingly, backing me against the bookshelf with careful control despite the wildness I could feel vibrating through him. His hands were everywhere. My waist, my hips sliding under the cashmere sweater to find bare skin. I gasped against his mouth, arching into his touch. He made another low sound, his lips trailing from my mouth to my jaw, my throat, finding the pulse point that made me whimper. I've wanted this, he murmured against my skin. Wanted you. Been imagining how you'd taste, how you'd sound, Dominic. His name came out breathy, desperate. Please, please, what? He lifted his head, eyes dark and intense. Tell me what you want. You. I want you. The admission felt like freedom and surrender all at once. Something fierce and possessive flashed across his face. Then you have me. All of me. But Elena. He cupped my face, forcing me to meet his eyes. This isn't just tonight. I don't do temporary. If I make you mine, it's permanent. You can't own a person. No. But you can belong to each other. His thumb traced my swollen lips. I'm already yours, even if you don't realize it yet. Have been since that night I found you on the street. The question is whether you're brave enough to be mine. I should have been terrified by the intensity, the absolute certainty in his voice. Instead, I felt something unlock in my chest, a loneliness I carried my entire life finally finding its answer. I'm terrified, I admitted, of this, of you, of how much I want this despite everything. Good. He kissed me again, slower this time, savoring. Fear means it matters, means you understand what's at stake. And what's at stake? Everything. Another kiss, this one to my temple. Hearts, lives, the future. He pulled back slightly, and I could see the war in his expression, desire versus control, need versus honor. Not like this, he said roughly. Not when you're scared and overwhelmed. Not when you might regret it tomorrow. I won't, Elena. He pressed a finger to my lips. When I make love to you, and I will, it won't be because of fear or adrenaline or proximity. It'll be because you've chosen me, chosen this life, chosen us." He stepped back, and I immediately missed his warmth. "I can wait. I don't want to wait. I know, but you deserve better than being taken against a bookshelf in a moment of madness." His smile was strained, "Even if that's exactly what I want to do." The vulnerability in that admission made my heart clench. Here was this powerful, dangerous man exercising control for my benefit even though it clearly cost him. "What if I told you I've already chosen?" The words surprised me, but when said, I knew they were true. "What if I told you that despite the insanity, despite barely knowing you, something in me recognizes something in you?" "Then I'd say you're braver than you think." He pulled me close again, but chastely this time, just holding me against his chest. His heart hammered beneath my ear. "Give me time to end this threat, to make you truly safe. Then we'll explore this thing between us properly." "Properly?" I felt his smile against my hair. "I plan to court you, Elena Russo, take you to dinner, show you the parts of my world that aren't violence, earn you. You've already saved my life, multiple times. That's protection. I want more than your gratitude." He pulled back to look at me. "I want your heart, your trust, your mornings and midnights, everything." Before I could respond, his phone rang a harsh intrusion. He answered with a curt, "This better be life or death." His expression went carefully blank as he listened. "When? Alive? Bring him to the warehouse. I'm on my way." He ended the call, his eyes meeting mine. They found Marcus's partner. Ice flooded my veins. "Who is he?" "Someone you know. Your boss. Gerald." The world tilted. "What? No. Gerald is annoying, but he's not. He wouldn't. He's been obsessed with you for over a year. Since you started working at the gallery." Dominic's voice was gentle but implacable. "He installed the cameras in your apartment. He and Marcus met at a support group for men with romantic difficulties. They bonded over their fixations, Marcus on a barista, Gerald on you. When Marcus's target moved away, Gerald suggested you as an alternative." Nausea rose. "Gerald gave Marcus my information?" "Yes, and when Marcus got sloppy, when I intervened, Gerald panicked. He's been feeding information to the Castellanos, trying to create chaos, hoping you'd turn to him for comfort in the aftermath." I sat down hard on the nearest chair. Gerald, mild-mannered, passive-aggressive Gerald had been watching me, plotting, collaborating with a stalker. "What will you do to him?" My voice sounded distant to my own ears. "What do you want me to do?" I looked up at Dominic, this man who'd become my protector, my desire, my salvation in the span of days. "I want him to answer for what he's done. I want justice. Justice or revenge. Is there a difference?" His smile was dark. "Not in my world. Come with me." "What?" "Come see the man who violated you. Look him in the eye. Decide his fate." Dominic extended his hand. "You have a say in this, Elena. You're not powerless." I stared at his offered hand, scarred, strong, lethal. Taking it meant stepping fully into his world. Accepting not just protection, but participation. I took his hand. "Let's go." The warehouse district at night was all shadows and industrial decay, a part of the city most people never saw. Dominic's SUV pulled into a nondescript building, the garage door closing behind us with mechanical finality. I'd crossed into another world, one where normal rules didn't apply. "You can still wait in the car," Dominic said quietly, his hand covering mine. "You don't have to see this." "Yes, I do." My voice was steadier than I felt. "I need to understand all of it." He studied me for a long moment, then nodded. "Stay close to me. Don't speak unless I tell you it's safe. Some of my men, they're good people, but they're also violent when needed. Don't show fear." We entered through a side door into a space that had clearly been repurposed for interrogation. Concrete floors, exposed pipes, a single chair in the center where Gerald sat bound and bleeding. He looked up when we entered. and something like relief crossed his face when he saw me. Elena, thank God. Tell them this is a mistake, quiet. Dominic's voice cracked like a whip. Gerald flinched. You speak when spoken to. You breathe because I allow it, understand? Gerald's eyes darted between us, landing on our joined hands. Something ugly twisted his features. I knew it. I knew you turned into another one of his whores. Dominic moved so fast, I barely saw it. One moment he was beside me, the next his fist connected with Gerald's jaw with a sickening crack. Gerald's head snapped back, blood spraying. Watch your mouth, Dominic said conversationally, flexing his hand. The lady isn't on trial here, you are. For what? Caring about her? Gerald spat blood. She needed someone, I was there. You were violating her privacy. I found my voice, stepping forward despite the horror churning in my stomach. You put cameras in my home. My bedroom, Gerald. My bathroom. I wanted to keep you safe. To know you were okay. His voice rose, desperate. You wouldn't give me a chance. Wouldn't see me as anything but your boss. I had to. You had to what? Dominic circled Gerald like a predator. Install surveillance? Contact a known stalker? Share intimate details of her life with a man planning to kidnap her? Marcus was harmless. I controlled him. He had chloroform and zip ties in his car. A storage unit rented under a false name. Detailed plans. Dominic's voice was deadly calm. That's your definition of harmless? Gerald had no answer, his eyes returning to me. Elena, please, I love you. Everything I did was because I love you. That's not love. The words came from somewhere deep and true. Love doesn't violate, doesn't conspire with dangerous men. What you feel is ownership, obsession. And what do you call what he's doing? Gerald jutted his chin toward Dominic. He's a killer, a criminal. You think his interest is any purer than mine? The difference, Dominic said softly, is that I've never taken her choice away. Everything she does, every moment she spends in my presence is her decision. You tried to strip that from her. I gave her opportunities, promotions. I made her career. You used your position to keep her close, to isolate her from other opportunities. Dominic pulled out his phone, pulling up something. I have emails. Recommendations you sabotaged, job offers you intercepted. You've been controlling her professional life for 18 months. The betrayal hit like a physical blow. The position at the Met. You told me they went with someone else. They wanted you, Dominic confirmed. Gerald told them you'd already accepted another position. You had no right. I had every right. Gerald lurched against his bonds. You were going to leave. I couldn't let you leave. I needed you enough. Dominic's voice cut through the hysteria. I've heard enough. Elena, come here. He guided me to the side, speaking low enough that Gerald couldn't hear. Say the word and he disappears. Permanently. No trial, no publicity. No dragging you through the trauma of testifying. Just gone. You mean killed? Yes. No apology. He violated you, endangered you, colluded with a man planning to kidnap and likely kill you. In my world, that sentence is death. And in the real world, the legal world, he's connected. Wealthy family, expensive lawyers. He'd get probation maybe. A year at most in a minimum security facility. Then he'd be free to fixate on someone else. Dominic's eyes held mine. I'm not asking you to make this decision lightly. I'm telling you there are options, dark options, but options that guarantee he never hurts anyone again. I looked at Gerald, pathetic now, crying, begging. This man who'd controlled aspects of my life I didn't even know about, who'd invaded my most private spaces, who'd helped plan my abduction. I want him to face consequences, I said slowly. Real consequences. But I don't want to become someone who orders executions. That's not who I am. You're sure? Because once I turn him over to the police, that option is gone. I'm sure. Something like respect flickered in Dominic's eyes. Then that's what we'll do. But know this, he'll serve minimal time. And when he gets out, if he so much as thinks your name, I'll know. And my mercy will be exhausted. He returned to Gerald, crouching down to eye level. You're a lucky man. Elena is better than you deserve. She's chosen mercy. He leaned closer. But I haven't. So hear me clearly. You'll confess to everything, every camera, every email, every conspiracy. You'll take a plea deal and serve your time quietly. And when you're released, you'll move to another state, another life. Because if I see you, if I hear you've contacted her, if you so much as breathe in her direction. He pulled a knife from his boot, pressing the flat of the blade against Gerald's cheek. I'll carve my message into your skin. Understand? Gerald nodded frantically, fresh tears streaming. Good. Dominic straightened. Marco, call Detective Rodriguez. Tell him we have a gift for him. A man emerged from the shadows mid-30s, muscular, with kind eyes that seemed at odds with his surroundings. Boss, clean him up. Make it look like he came here voluntarily to confess. No marks that suggest coercion. Dominic took my hand again, leading me toward the exit. We're done here. In the car, I finally started shaking. The adrenaline, the fear, the dark satisfaction of seeing Gerald, terrified it all, crashed over me at once. Dominic pulled me against him, his arms strong and sure. Breathe, just breathe. It's over. Is it? Is anything ever really over in your world? The Castellanos will back down once they realize you're not leverage they can use. Gerald will go to prison. Marcus will disappear. The immediate threats are handled. He tilted my chin up, forcing me to meet his eyes. You're safe now, Elena, I promise. And what about us? Where do we go from here? His smile was slow, dangerous, full of promise. Wherever you want, as long as it's together. I don't belong in this world. Maybe not, but you belong with me. He kissed me, soft and claiming. And I'm not letting you go. 3 weeks later, I stood in Dominic's study, watching rain streak the windows, and marveled at how completely my life had transformed. Gerald had confessed to everything, taking a plea deal that would keep him imprisoned for 5 years. Marcus had indeed disappeared. I didn't ask where, and Dominic didn't offer details. The Castellanos, faced with Dominic's overwhelming response to their provocations, had sued for peace. A treaty had been signed, terms negotiated, boundaries redrawn. And I had stayed. You're thinking too loud. I turned to find Dominic in the doorway, jacket discarded, tie loosened, looking tired but content. In the weeks since that night in the warehouse, we'd fallen into a rhythm, mornings with coffee and careful conversation, evenings where he taught me about his world and I taught him it was okay to be vulnerable. We hadn't slept together yet. Not for lack of desire, the tension between us was a living thing, crackling in every touch, every heated glance. But Dominic had kept his word. He was courting me, properly. Dinners at restaurants where everyone deferred to him. The opera, where we sat in his family's private box. Long drives upstate to visit his mother, a formidable woman who'd looked at me with knowing eyes and said, finally, someone who doesn't let him win every argument. I'm thinking about how strange this has become, I admitted. Normal. Is it? He moved into the room, pulling me back against his chest. Normal for you to live with a criminal? To accept protection from someone who solves problems with violence? Normal for me to feel safe, to feel wanted, to feel like I finally have someone in my corner. I covered his hands with mine. Yes, your methods are terrifying. Yes, your world is dangerous. But you, Dominic Marchetti, are the most honorable man I've ever known. He went very still. Elena, I know what honor means now. It's not following laws written by people who've never had to fight for survival. It's keeping your promises. Protecting the vulnerable. Using power to build instead of just destroy. I turned in his arms. You could have taken advantage of me a dozen times. Could have pushed when I was vulnerable. Instead, you've been patient and gentle and everything I didn't know I needed. I'm not gentle. I'm a killer. You're both. You contain multitudes. I reached up to trace the scar on his jaw, and I love all of them. The words hung in the air between us, enormous and terrifying and true. His hands came up to frame my face, and I saw vulnerability raw in his eyes. Say it again. I love you. Easier the second time. I love your strength and your scars. I love that you cook breakfast and quote Renaissance artists. I love that you're terrifying to everyone except me. I love. He kissed me, deep and claiming, and full of everything he couldn't say. When we finally broke apart, both breathless, his forehead rested against mine. I've loved you since the moment you fell on that street and looked at me like I was a problem you could solve, he murmured. I've loved you through every argument, every challenge, every time you've made me question everything I thought I knew about myself. His thumb traced my cheekbone. You've made me want to be better, to build something worth protecting beyond territory and power. Dominic, marry me. Time stopped. What? Marry me. He pulled back enough to look into my eyes, not because of protection or convenience, because I love you, because I want to wake up next to you for the rest of my life, because you're the only person who's ever made me want forever. We've known each other less than a month. I've known you for 3 months, and I've been waiting my entire life for you. He smiled, and it was devastating. But I'll wait longer if you need time. I'll court you for a year, 5 years, however long it takes for you to be sure. I'm sure. The certainty settled in my bones. I'm absolutely insane, but I'm sure. Yes, the joy that transformed his face made my heart ache. He kissed me again, this time with unleashed passion, and I met him with equal hunger. His hands slid under my shirt, finding bare skin, and I gasped against his mouth. Elena. My name was a prayer. Are you sure? Because if we start, I won't be able to stop. Then don't stop. I pulled him toward the desk. Make me yours. Officially, completely. Here. A flash of that predatory smile. Here. Now. Everywhere. I pulled my shirt over my head, watching his eyes darken with desire. You've been patient long enough. We both have. He made a sound low in his throat, something between a growl and a groan, and lifted me onto the desk, scattering papers. His mouth found my throat, my collarbone, the sensitive spot behind my ear that made me whimper. I love you, he murmured against my skin. I'll love you until my last breath. I'll protect you, worship you, drive you crazy, Dominic. I pulled his face up to mine. Less talking, more showing me. His laugh was dark and full of promise, as you wish, and then words became unnecessary. The gallery opening was everything I'd hoped for: critically acclaimed artists, carefully curated pieces, wealthy collectors actually understanding what they were buying. My gallery. Mine and Dominic's, though he insisted his role was purely financial backing. You're hovering, I murmured as he appeared beside me with champagne. I'm admiring. His hand settled possessively on my lower back. My brilliant wife in her element. The word still sent a thrill through me. We'd married quietly 3 months ago, just his family and Maria, in a ceremony that mixed traditional Italian customs with our own promises. I'd worn vintage lace. He'd cried when he saw me. It was perfect. Your mother is trying to set up Marco with the sculptor, I observed, watching his head of security being cornered by the matriarch with determined matchmaking in her eyes. Marco can handle himself, probably. Dominic's lips brushed my ear. How much longer do we have to stay? It's my opening. At least 2 more hours. His groan made me smile. 2 hours of making small talk when I could be taking my wife home and Mr. Marchetti. A collector approached, interrupting. Wonderful space. I understand you're the financial mind behind this venture? Just the money. Dominic demurred, his hand tightening on my waist. My wife is the vision. The talent. I just make sure she has the resources to create magic. The pride in his voice made my heart full. Later, after the crowds had thinned and we'd locked up, Dominic pulled me into his arms on the empty gallery floor. Dance with me. There's no music. So? He started swaying, and I followed, melting into his embrace. Are you happy? I asked quietly. deliriously, terrifyingly. He pressed a kiss to my temple. You've made me human again, Elena. Made me remember there's more to life than power and revenge. You've made me brave, made me believe I deserve good things. I looked up at him, even if those good things come wrapped in danger and Italian suits. The danger's mostly over. The Castellanos keep their peace. The new families respect our territory. Things are quiet, won't last. No. He smiled. No. He smiled, but we'll face whatever comes together. Together, I agreed. He kissed me then, tender and deep and full of promise. Outside the gallery windows, the city glittered, our city, full of shadows and light, danger and beauty. We found each other in darkness, found love in the most unlikely circumstances, found home in arms that had committed violence but now held me with infinite gentleness. It wasn't a fairy tale. It wasn't safe or simple or what anyone would call conventional. But it was ours, and I wouldn't change a single moment. Take me home, I whispered against his lips. Always, he promised. And he did.